Welcome to the second part of this series as we continue from Oregon to Idaho and into Nevada and through the small towns on the Oregon Trail and then for a ride onto the Bonneville Salt Flats of Utah. I'll give you a little history along the way for you to explore with us. And good morning. We had a great sleep last night in our hammocks. Jonathan and I both got sub-zero bags and we're up about 4,200 feet. So it definitely got a little colder tonight, but we sure didn't feel it. We slept and slept and we've taken our time this morning, which is really kind of nice. Got some things organized, got our little system set up because it really is the first time motorcycle camping all season. I don't think I've got my bag packed quite as tight, but one of the things, as bulky as it does seem, I'm only at about 58 pounds, and that's with all my tire, my gear, my water, my food, and that's everything complete. So I'm quite happy with the weight and how it's set up. But off we go now, and hopefully to Timber Gulch today. One of the challenges has been editing on this trip. Somehow the cameras got out of sync for the first few days, and it meant a lot of messing around, syncing clips, trying to get front shots, side shots, etc. I usually check the preset dates and times and keep a battery in the camera at all times, but regardless, it's definitely been a bit of a pain. On a positive note, I have most of my footage with very little corruption, which is really a good thing. But somehow there was a glitch at some point and I lost the footage riding in the deep gravel in towards Timber Gulch. But that might have been a little bit of operator error since we were busy messing with tire pressures. The bike was thrown around pretty good, including me, but in the end I stayed upright and all worked out. Mount Vernon, Oregon has a post office and was established in 1877, and the town was originally named after a black stallion that belonged to settler David W. Jenkins. The stallion's stable, a small stone building, is still standing in a field on the north side of Highway 26, about 2 miles east of the main intersection in town. As we come into John Day, we saw a group of bikes outside the 1188 Brewing Company, and what a great choice that turned out to be. Lunch was fantastic. The city was named for John Day River and was incorporated in 1901. By 1887, John Day was home to nearly 1,000 Chinese immigrants who had been attracted to the area by a gold rush 20 years earlier. And today you can visit the Chinese apothecary shop. It has been designated as a National Historic Landmark in 2005. As we pass through Prairie City, it grew out of the former mining camp of Dixie in 1862 at the mouth of the Dixie Creek from the John Day River. Today you will find a number of historic stone buildings and the museum that's in the former railroad depot. The valley is surrounded by mountains, as you can see, with the BLM lands, plenty of camping, and hundreds of miles of paved and gravel roads to explore. Vail is a town that paved the way for the Oregon Trail that begun with early Native Americans living and fishing on the riverbanks with superheated water coming from the hot springs, and caves lending to a perfect place for early life and settlement. Explorers arrived on the Snake River in early 1812 and converted their wagons to rafts that were then capsized. A year later, returning members of that first expedition discovered the South Pass of the Rocky Mountains in Wyoming, which became the Oregon Trail. The following year, in 1813, French-Canadian trappers built a cabin on the banks of Willow Creek, which would later become the nearby town of Vail. From wagons and trains to home of the county seat, this town is absolutely full of intriguing history. As we follow along the Oregon Trail, There are fabulous historical markers and so much more to learn and take in. On the southern route of the Oregon Trail is the town of Adrian, near the confluence of the Snake and Owyhee River. This was a longer route in its time that eliminated the need to cross the treacherous Snake River. Homedale, Idaho is wine country today, and in 1898 Jacob Musil built a ferry boat across the Snake River, making this town more accessible. We are in Owyhee country, the name given to these mountains and the whole surrounding region, which means Hawaii, originating from the Hawaiian natives that were called Owies. They came across in the trading ships in 1818. Donald Mackenzie brought the first big brigade of fur hunters to the Snake River Valley. He sent several Owies to trap in this region, and they never came back. The name carries on today. We traveled up to what we thought was the turnoff to Timber Gulch and realized partway down the deep gravel road that we were on the wrong track. We lowered tire pressure, and as it was 7 o'clock and getting too late in the day, we made the decision to turn around, as it would be well after dark by the time we would get into the campground with the amount of miles we still had to travel. And picking a good track in the dark would be crappy at best. So planning around the unexpected, I think we made a good decision. Timber Gulch will just have to wait. Watching the weather overnight, we decided to try and make up some miles and stay in front of the storm coming through. We left Nampa after a great night's sleep, heading for Glenn's Ferry, where we stopped for a bite, and I took a walk around town. Glenn's Ferry, which is historically known for its treacherous river crossing of the Snake River. In 1869, Gustavus Glenn built a ferry boat so that his wagons and others could cross the Snake River without the danger of driving horse and oxen teams through the treacherous waters. The Oregon Trail was already heavy with traffic in both directions by this time. Glenn's ferry boat crossed the Snake River about a mile downstream from where the town is today. Riding down towards the town of Hagerman, it is the home of the National Fossil Beds Monument that protects the world's largest and richest known fossil deposits from the late Pliocene period, about 3.5 million years ago, including the Hagerman horse, and the largest deposit of horse fossils in the world that have produced 20 complete skeletons and a number of partial skeletons of the zebra-like ancestor of today's horse. We jumped on Highway 30, known as the Highway of 1,000 Springs, and traveled through the town of Bliss and on to Buell, 16 miles west of Twin Falls. It was founded in 1906 and named after Frank Buell, a financier and investor in the Carriac project that brought this area into the 20th century with its South-Size irrigation project. This town is also known as the trout capital of the world, with its numerous surrounding hatcheries. the dramatic scenery as you come over a rise in the road and the landscape opens up, or as today, we are simply enjoying the wind blocks in the meandering valleys. As the wind gusts began to pick up, we jumped onto Highway 93 toward Wells as it began to sprinkle, thunder, and lightning. And this is where we got hit with huge wind gusts. We later found out that the area below Twin Falls is consistently windy. No kidding. We managed pretty well for the most part, but still ended up getting hit by what they said on the warnings later was about 50 mile an hour plus, and a little brutal at times. I wish I could have caught the thunder and lightning around us on camera, but at that point I was more concerned about the weather that was ahead of me than I was with what was going to be on the GoPros. Dust devils were plentiful. Coming over the hill, we could just see out onto the salt flats, and we realized that the winds were just too strong to venture out on the flats at sunset. So we pulled off and found a very nice budget hotel in Wendover to get some sleep, recoup, and watch the weather for an early start. This morning starts early on the salt flats, and even I couldn't resist a ride on them. We went down the speedway, and you can get on the salt flats anywhere from the road. Grip is solid, and they are a blast, stretching over 30,000 acres. And as we pass the salt plants, where 90% of salt refined becomes table salt from the ancient Lake Bonneville, which once covered 1/3 of Utah, 10 to 32,000 years ago. And a wonderful, beautiful morning to everyone. We are at the Bonneville Salt Flats. We've gone for a little ride along the Salt Road. Pretty cool. Johnny had a blast. It is awesome out here. And I didn't know what the salt would be like, but it's like sticky, hard packed, and slightly loose on top, but it's really freaking awesome. Love this. So last night we stayed in Wendover, and it literally is about 2 kilometers away at the end of the Speedway Road at frontage, and the hotel bordered Nevada and Utah, which is kind of fun. And here's the salt flats here. I'm not going to ride my bike too far out on it because I don't want it getting too salty. Jonathan's going to get up and fly the drone, and we'll take a little look, and then we're going to head down through some side roads and small towns today because there's a nasty storm coming through. It's so quiet. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I actually did get up early to come out and do this, and you can pretty much drop off of the Speedway Road at any point and get onto the salt flats, which is pretty cool. And they really are a cool old lake from a long time ago that dried up, and this is what's left behind. And apparently the salt is about 5 feet thick at its deepest point. Stay tuned for part 3 of our motorcycle adventures as we take some quiet mountain roads along the historic Pony Express, Green River, and Moab. If you've enjoyed this video, please click that like and subscribe and leave a comment. And remember to live your adventure, and we will see you on the road. Thank you for watching.